John Henry Bonham was born on May 31, 1948 in Redditch, England. From the very start, music seemed to run in his blood. As a child, he would bang on anything he could find, pots, pans, and buckets, turning them into makeshift drums. His mother remembered that the house often shook with rhythm, and his father, who worked as a carpenter, encouraged his passion. By age 5, John already had a small drum kit. While other kids were playing games, John was practicing beats, never knowing he was shaping the sound of the future. His early love for rhythm made him different. He wasn't just playing, he was feeling the drums, connecting to them as if they were part of him. As John grew older, his talent became obvious. He studied the great jazz drummers like Gene Krupa and Buddy Rich. Their fast hands and wild energy inspired him, but John added his own raw power. At 15, he joined his first bands around Birmingham. Locals were amazed. This kid hit the drums harder than anyone else. Unlike other drummers, he didn't just keep time, he commanded the entire sound. By his teenage years, his reputation spread. Musicians wanted John behind them because his drumming made even the simplest songs sound alive. In the mid-1960s, John crossed paths with a young singer named Robert Plant. They both loved blues and rock and instantly became friends. John played with Plant's band, Band of Joy. The group didn't make it big, but their friendship would change history. On stage, John's thunderous drumming matched Robert's soaring voice. Even when Band of Joy collapsed, the bond between the two stayed strong. This connection later became the doorway that led John to his greatest adventure, Led Zeppelin. When Jimmy Page needed a drummer for his new band in 1968, Robert Plant had one named John Bonham. At first, John wasn't sure. He had offers from other famous musicians, but when he finally agreed, the lineup was complete. Page on guitar, Plant on vocals, John Paul Jones on bass, and Bonham on drums. Their first rehearsal shook the walls. John's drumming gave Zeppelin its heartbeat. With every rehearsal, it was clear this was no ordinary band. They were creating something that would change rock forever. John quickly earned the nickname Bonzo. Fans couldn't believe his power. Songs like Good Times, Bad Times, and Communication Breakdown showcased his speed, precision, and force. His single bass drum sounded like two. Live, he stole the spotlight with solos that went on for minutes, leaving crowds speechless. John wasn't just a drummer, he was a force of nature. Critics said he played like a storm, but with control, turning chaos into rhythm. Zeppelin's sound relied on him. Without Bonham, the band wouldn't have been the same. Life in Led Zeppelin was wild. The tours were huge, the crowds massive, and the parties legendary. Bonham became famous not only for his drumming, but also for his wild lifestyle. He loved fast cars, motorcycles, and living life at full speed. Yet behind the wild image, John was also a family man. He loved his wife, Pat, and adored his children, especially his son, Jason. But the constant travel and pressure of fame began to take a toll on him. One of Bonham's most famous moments was his drum solo, Moby Dick. In concerts, it could last up to 20 minutes, sometimes even longer. John played with his bare hands, hitting the drums so hard that his knuckles bled. Fans were hypnotized. Even guitar legends like Page and bass genius Jones would step off the stage, letting Bonham take complete control. It wasn't just a drum solo, it was a thunderstorm on stage, proving why John was considered the greatest rock drummer of his time. By the late 1970s, success came with a heavy price. Touring, drinking, and the constant chaos of life on the road began to affect John's health. His love for alcohol grew dangerous. Friends noticed that he sometimes seemed tired, drained, or troubled. Despite this, he never lost his passion for drumming. He still gave his all on stage, but inside he was fighting battles people couldn't see. Fame had made him a legend, but it had also trapped him in a cycle that was hard to escape. On September 25, 1980, the world of rock was shaken. John Bonham had died at just 32 years old after a night of heavy drinking. His passing wasn't just the loss of a drummer, it was the end of Led Zeppelin. The band announced they couldn't continue without him. To them, John wasn't just part of the group, he was the foundation. His death left a hole in music that could never be filled. Fans mourned worldwide, and even decades later, the loss still feels heavy. John Bonham's life was short, but his impact was eternal. He changed the way drummers played, blending speed, strength, and groove in a way no one had before. From When the Levee Breaks to Kashmir, his drumming remains timeless. His son, John Bonham, carried the torch, performing with Zeppelin at their 2007 reunion. Every beat reminded the world of his father's greatness. Today, Bonham is remembered as the greatest rock drummer who ever lived. His thunder still echoes, louder than ever,